Why have you been without a sort of official representation for so long in this country, do you think?
Well, you know, I'm not going to throw everything that I believe in out of the window. It's just a compromise for what some people who call themselves the arbiters of taste are going to decide is the kind of music that should be played.
And people were trying to make you change your style, were they, or what?
Yes, you know, I'd heard phrases, oh, dyed in the wool, bred in the bone, you know, sort of rock and roll, and that's it. And he'll never change, he'll always be the same. I've changed a lot. The thing that won't change is my voice. I mean, why should I change it? I'm happy with it. The other thing that won't change is my attitude to writing. Why should I change that? Because I feel that I write about things that happen. It's about what happens now, the same as it was 10 years ago, about what happened then. The thing that does change is the musicians I work with, and it's very important to try and get a nice blend of players so that you can build a foundation upon which you're going to get at least a good 3-year run, so that people can have confidence in you when you appear.
Just how together is the Ian Gillan band at the moment?
United, mate.
Really?
Yes.
Are you the man who tells them what to do, or is there a little bit of the old cooperation that goes on?
No, I mean, everyone's got an equal amount to say. It's just that...
Your voice is a bit louder than the others?
Yes, I'm just a little more equal than everyone else, perhaps.
Yeah.
But that's really only as far as identity is concerned. I think, no, everyone contributes an enormous amount. It's very important that we do that. I mean, all the money we share 5 ways on the road and everything else, and all the losses as well.
Yes, which on the road, well,
yeah.
they add up a bit.
No, we make a profit on the road.
Really?
Yeah, one of the few bands who do, I should think. But, no, we make a profit on the road.
Before we get on to talking about
and we only charge £3 top price tickets to get in as well.
Very important point. Before we get on to talking about your touring plans, and I know you're doing some live appearances soon, there's been a lot of rumours and talk recently about reunions of Deep Purple lineups. I must get your version of what may or may not happen. What's going to happen?
I'll confirm that denial.
It is not going to happen.
I deny that confirmation.
You're not planning anything at the moment anyway.
Well, I think David Coverdale last week said he denies it totally.
Yeah.
And then someone in New York said, well, who asked him anyway? And as no one's really put it to me in any clear presentation. I think probably more people are having fun thinking about the possibilities and the kind of money that could be made, you know. I mean, a Deep Purple tour now of America would probably gross something like £5 million in 2 months or something like that.
That's amazing.
So as you can understand, there's absolutely no way that I'd be involved in anything like that.
All right, that's that one. I think the interesting thing is that people still look back with nostalgia and affection to those days as far as fans are concerned.
Yeah. Deep Purple is for me, it's a legend. Such a long time has passed since I left in June '73 that, you know, I play the records with reverence a little bit. You know, I think, because it's almost like another person, it's like another band, you know. All I've got is a great feeling of pride to have been part of something like that. No, it's just marvellous. It is a legend, and I think it should be left to legend itself in peace.
All right, we'll leave that legending away. Back to your current band and your live appearance plans. I gather you're appearing in just a couple of days' time, in fact.
Yes, this Sunday we're doing Loch Lomond. I think it's some terrible thing. It's called Rock at the Loch or something like that. But we're looking forward to that. That's just a little way north of Glasgow, for those people who don't know the geography of that part of Scotland. And we're doing Reading again this year, I think. Yeah, I'm sure we're doing it. I've booked my season ticket on the bus. And we're doing a tour starting in September. UK tour, that is, about 28 concerts in September. And then we should be spending the rest of the year in the States, doing our first American tour for a long time. And then back in the studio again after Christmas.
Actually, people who are surprised that heavy metal is back with a bang obviously weren't at Reading last year, where your band went down remarkably well, didn't it?
Yeah, I thought there were some very astute critics at the time who described Reading as the graveyard of rock and roll and things like that last year. It was fabulous, it was great, and there were 35,000 people there who enjoyed every moment of it.
In the rain, too, when you were on stage.
Exactly, exactly.
On having a #1 LP in the charts.
Thank you very much, Tommy. You're talking about the Deep Purple album?
Absolutely. I mean, I've been away for, a couple of weeks now, and it just surprised the heck out of me to come back to this country and discover it and wallop right in at #1.
Surprised me too. I didn't know it was going to be released till I saw the ads in the papers.
Really?
Truly.
Don't they phone you up and ask you things like that?
Somebody told me the same week, I think. You know, I got a phone call. No, I'd had nothing to do with it. I was interested to see that Ian Pace was involved in the compilation. I think that probably has helped to make it a better album than the previous releases that they've put out, which got up a few people's noses, I think, because of the unauthorised tracks that were contained therein. But this, I think, is a fair representation of what Purple was doing around about 69, 72. Oh, of course, afterwards as well with David Coverdale.
It also proves that 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 band were a milestone. But let's get away from the history, because today is today. You've also got 2 albums out at the moment, in as much that you've got 2 albums in one sleeve, but it's a limited edition, isn't it, to a degree?
Yes, it's a giant thank you to the fans, really. The main album is Glory Road, and that's the bona fide studio release. But the people who've stuck with us over what I call the dark ages of rock and roll, from 75 to 79, have been fantastic. They've come all over the country to our shows. They've bought our records whenever we have had them out, and they've also bought at exorbitant prices imports which have been coming into the country from Japanese and Australian releases. So we wanted to do something to say thank you. We thought of giving the albums away at the box office, but that's an impractical way of doing it. So eventually we thought just stick it in the album, and generally speaking our sort of true fans are the ones who get in first with their orders, so that's the best way of getting it to the people who matter most.
So really, if you want to get hold of the double Gillan album that's out at the moment called Glory Road, you've got to get in first.
Right. That's free, the other one. I mean, it's gratis. It is generally for Gillan fans only. I mean, I don't know what anyone else would make of it.
Here now is another piece of music which is on Glory Road. This is Running Whiteface City Boy. I want to read off the second album that you get with Glory Road. Another
Gillan fans only.
That's it.
Yeah.
I just want to read this. It was written by Robbie Miller. It was in Sounds on the 7th of the 6th, 1980, and it goes like this. In which Virgin attempt, that's the record company that Gillan's now with, in which Virgin attempt to boost flagging sales by jumping on the metal bandwagon, late. Ian Gillan tries to tempt with yet another free patch. Sad, it says. Mannered vocals labouring over a positively historical accompaniment. Your comments, Mr. Gillan.
Well, we put that in because there are quite a few press cuttings included on the For Gillan Fans Only album. Basically, we've taken a lot of stick from the press. I don't mind, generally speaking, wise criticism. I think is a valuable thing, and I've never shied away from criticism. In fact, we've all made a lot of mistakes. But the one thing I've always tried to do, and the musicians I've worked with have always tried to do, is keep their integrity. And when we release a record, we really believe in it, and we're really happy to put it out. I saw last year in another newspaper the centre page spread of a very happy Reading Festival, which I saw you at last year, and it was absolutely incredible. The audience enjoyed every minute of it. I stayed there for the whole 3 days, and I know the audience enjoyed it. And there was a predominance of heavy rock bands on last year, as there is again this year. Basically because that's what Reading Festival that's what sells a lot of tickets at Reading Festival, and people, when they enjoyed themselves, came from all over the country, all over the world in fact. And the banner headline was the graveyard of rock and roll, and I still got that stuck up on my wall at home because it just goes to show how wrong and sometimes how uninformed people can be. I think the press medium has taken upon itself that it will dominate or dictate the tactics of music, and to the exclusion of all other forms of music. And if something new comes along, then it's taken as destructive. They talk about art and creativity, but, you know, I think an awful lot of what happened in 77, 76, 77, 78 was not art at all. If art is purely destructive, then it was art, but it was like throwing the baby out with the bathwater. There was an awful lot of bad things, I admit, with a lot of the groups which were called dinosaurs and everything else from the early 70s, and phrases like self-indulgence and that sort of thing were being thrown around, and tax exiles, of course. And I don't agree with a lot of those elements which were creeping into rock and roll, or heavy rock, or whatever you like to call it. But I do think that what happened in early 70s was that for the first time in the history of British rock music, or British contemporary music, you were finding young musicians who were masters of their instrument, absolute masters, brilliant players, who were able to entertain really well for a reasonably long period of time. And because of the restricted nature of rock music, insofar as that you don't want to go through a myriad of chords into presenting an idea, it's not, after all, not an educational form of music. It's enjoyable, it's entertaining, and it's supposed to give you tingles down your spine and raise the hairs on the back of your neck. But this is why you got extended solos, because people found that the form was a little restricted, so they would play for a little longer in solos on stage. But all of these qualities, I think, got a little stale, and I don't think that it was necessary to throw them right out of the window. But at the least, at the time, it was right to make criticisms about it. But it seems to me that now criticism is so uninformed, and also it's getting so personal, that a lot of the fun and the joy of music has disappeared for a lot of people. And I know that basically this isn't at all how the public see it, because when I spend more time at the stage door of a concert after a show than I do on stage sometimes, and the people I talk to don't fall in anywhere near the line that the music papers take, generally speaking. And I fear that they've fallen into the trap of dogmatism of its worst kind.
Why don't you get that headline blown up and put it above you when you're on the stage at Reading this year?
Well, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Reading's going to be great this year.
I wanted to talk to you about Reading because it's an incredible 3-day bill.
Yeah, it really is good.
Probably the best bill I think I've seen in years to be put together in a festival in this country.
I think this is reflected by the fact that it's almost sold out already. You know, I mean, I know it's coming close to it, but last year at Reading, I think Reading was suffering from a couple of weaker years, you know, when the bill wasn't quite so good, and it wasn't putting on exactly what people wanted at a festival. And I've been to an awful lot of festivals all around the world.
And played in a lot.
Played in a hell of a lot of festivals all around the world. There's no doubt about it that Reading is one of the good all-time festivals. It's a great feeling there. It's a marvellous atmosphere. I know it rains a little bit now and again, but that's one of those things that happens over here. But it doesn't seem to matter at all. It really doesn't. And as I say, the tickets for Reading are going so well this year. It's a clear indication, I think, of the fact that Jack Barry's got it right.
Okay, here's a track called Unchain Your Brain, and this is on Glory Road. It's by Gillan, who incidentally was a disc jockey a couple of weeks ago, and I believe a very good one. Thanks for sitting in for me.
Thanks, Tommy.